Good afternoon. It's the Peeragogy project here with Peeragogy in action, like we are every Monday. Don't forget, it's we are on 1 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time. Universal Time I think is -4, and we have various people from around the world joining us at any given time. We have a Londoner who's trying to get in, and we have some folks in Spain and Sri Lanka and Mexico. So that I don't know if I think Paula in Mexico said she's attending a course and she'll catch up later. Peter Feltham in London, I really appreciate your comment. He's going to watch it on replay, and we have Karen Einstein and Lisa McDonald and Charlie Danoff, fairly regular folks. Karen's the newest, so why don't you introduce yourself, Karen?
Oh Lord, I was excited. Hi, my name's Karen, and I have been working in ESL, EFL, TOEFL, whatever you want to call it, for 25 years now. And I'm on sabbatical at the moment due to family issues, and I've just discovered Peeragogy, and I'm really excited about it. I'm sort of now just getting my head around what it is. I spent a lot of time in teacher training, and basically through peer teaching. We did a lot of, I ran a program on peer observations, which everybody was terrified of to begin with, but then it ended up working really well. It broke down barriers between people's kind of fear of being observed and people's ownership of their ideas. So it created an atmosphere of a great deal of sharing, which there already was, but it just escalated that a bit. And so the handbook, I'm pretty excited. Yeah, show it. Sorry.
Oh, I was just thinking that you and many of us, I mean, it's not like we're discovering Peeragogy, we're more like extracting it from our own experience and the world around us. Kind of.
You know what I find is interesting? It's nice to have it defined. You know, it's like a nice definition that really helps. You know, you go around doing things and you don't recognize that you're doing them until it's named. So
and then you can do them better when you're mindful of the effects that those techniques have on your learning or others' learning, I think.
Yeah.
Lisa, you want a brief intro there?
She's muted, Charlotte.
Yeah, she's muted, but usually she pops in if we ask her.
There we go. Sorry, I'm at a different location. I'm almost home, but so just introductions. My name is Lisa Snow McDonald. My interest in Peeragogy is mostly in how it applies to business and its usefulness in improving efficiencies and corporate culture to engage people.
Yeah, and Lisa's been working on some aspects of the new version of the handbook and a paper that we wrote for the, oh God, Charlie, help me out. What was it? PLOP, pattern language. PLOP, the Pattern Language of Programs Conference in Philadelphia, and we're in the review or shepherding process with that, which is a kind of a different take on, or a different approach to accepting papers for conferences. And Lisa and Joe and Charlie and me to some extent, and Paula, I think, did a lot of work on that. Lisa and Joe in particular lately. Joe, are you around? Are you available to introduce yourself?
Yeah, well, at least briefly. I don't know. I had to reboot my router twice. But hello, I'm Joe. I guess I know everyone who's here now. Yeah, that's some draft there you put in the chat, Charlie. And yeah, the most recent one is still on Authoria. So, and yeah, I've been sending drafts around by email as I as I work through, but other people can jump in and grab one and improve it if they want, or just improve some of those drafts. Sometimes I send them by email and then I go back in there and start monkeying around with them again on Authoria. So the ones I've sent by email aren't the current ones. But yeah, I think they're all up for debate. I mean, the main concern is like, are we sticking with the template? But I think then it's just a good chance to rethink.
This is looking
we're
really
doing.
nice, yeah.
And some of it's, you know, what is Peeragogy really all about? I think is what we're faced with, that question in this paper, and so I think that's what the main opportunity is to really get that clear. I wasn't in the monkeying around doing that some more. I was thinking, you know, is Peeragogy? We came to this word open, and I've never liked the word open, but it seems like we need some word that describes everything from free open source to Wikipedia to the stuff like Lisa was saying by email. Aren't we talking about an organizational principle that you could apply in a small business or in a neighborhood? And I'm thinking, of course you could. So I don't know. Open doesn't quite do it for me, but that was in there right now. So maybe we need to brainstorm a list of useful words. Anyway, sorry.
And what's our timetable?
Problem than myself. Go ahead. What were you saying?
Oh, sorry. What's our timetable on this now?
I think the actual revisions are due on a month, like from today. So we've got some time.
Okay. Now, if somebody's watching and they haven't been involved as long as we have, can they still take a look at the document and help out?
Yeah, the document's not secret. Besides all that same materials copied into the book, the version we sent to be shepherded is in the handbook version on the webpage now, and the updates are not, but they will be eventually. So we're helping on the paper is also helping on the book. We might not credit you as a co-author on the paper, I suppose, but we will credit you as a co-author on the book. If you do a lot of work on the paper, we credit you as a co-author. Otherwise, we'll just acknowledge it. But yeah, jump in. I mean, it's like it's essential part of the book. So, so yeah, let's get it right. I think everyone should get involved if they'd like to.
Good. I think everyone's introduced themselves, except and Joe, you work now where?
Currently, I'm in. Where am I? Bedfordshire, but I'm going to the U.S. soon. Although I don't work in the U.S., I'm going for a conference. But yeah, I'm in Bedfordshire, UK.
Yeah. And Charlie is one of the founding members of the Peeragogy project, along with Joe. And Charlie is sort of he's in a compromising position. He's at a location which is not lend itself to full participation, but he is typing stuff in and giving us some useful links. So we had thought, you know, a kind of an intro onboarding.
Why do you do Peeragogy?
You can mix things together.
Intro onboarding. Why do you do Peeragogy?
Onboarding to Peeragogy, and I think Joe Cornelia would be the awesome person to get that started. I'm good at chiming in, but.
Okay. Well, I would like. Yeah, let's look at this. There's this great. Let me just show you something, which is I can screen share right now.
Or tell me what you want to screen share.
But I have only got it on mine. Whoa, that internet's. Yeah, so Fabrizio just said he couldn't join us on the Hangout connection, but he's built this interweb dashboard for Peeragogy. It might help web design pedagogical tasks.
Oh my God, how cool!
Yeah,
It's named after you, Charlotte, as well. He's apparently naming each version after a peer, so this one's named after you.
Oh, cool.
And here's the stuff. So I think.
Oh my God, how cool is this?
That's
this is
great.
so neat. This is all the places that we operate.
Yeah. So that seems nice. And I think when you're saying what are the benefits of Peeragogy, here it seems to be, as you see, people can participate in different ways and different times. And here's a really great dashboard that's like part of the
Wow,
power of
Charlie.
Peeragogy.
That's great.
So, yes. So there you go. That's latest news. I don't know what this button does. Something cool. Whoa.
So where do we put this? Just on our browser?
It is a, yeah, it's, I think we can put it anywhere. This, I'll put the link in the chat. It's on GitHub right now. Oops, stop. Okay. So yeah, there was that demo. So and we can help, I'm sure it's on GitHub, so we can help Fabrizio make it how we want. I don't know. He's put a message in the chat on the event. So let's follow up with about it. I know we should probably get in touch with Amanda too, because she was the one saying you need a Peeragogy dashboard. Actually, we might have to replace Amanda's. We should replace Amanda's mock-up drawing, or somehow find a way to composite Amanda's mock-up with Fabrizio's like demo in our paper. So hopefully we can include a screenshot of that in the paper.
It's almost like we hardly need a book, but the book is part of it. So.
That's true. Yeah. Well, and the paper will be inside the book, so it's kind of like infinite. It's like my infinite internet picture again.
Yeah, it's like the one when you take a picture of your picture.
Yeah. So, but you're seeing a kind of onboarding for Peeragogy.
Well, that's it. That's it in a nutshell.
That was a real quick visual version, yeah.
Yeah, in a way. But I think what people get overwhelmed with is just like we sound like we have been together forever, and we kind of have. But you know how it's hard for them to visualize what steps to take, how far to go in saying something or suggesting something.
So here, I'm going to do this without the infinite internet this time. So, oops.
I gotcha.
Okay, cool. So, yeah, so this is like a more textual thing. I think it'd be really fun to put those images from the dashboard, the little icons kind of by where they fit in. Maybe not in this paper, or maybe in the book, or maybe in the paper, I don't know, but you know, it is a kind of a wall of text right now, and right now it's like a wall of green text. But like this particular wall of text, it's like, in terms of what is Peeragogy. So I said here, like in one sentence, the essence of Peeragogy is to combine a free, open approach with reflective practice. And I think, based on what we were discussing by email, Lisa, I have my doubts that that's really the best way to say what the essence of Peeragogy really is. You know, so I'm way open to interpretation on that one.
Well, yeah, I know. I mean, to me, it's a way to approach any number of situations in life or work where you need to collaborate with a group of people, which is most situations you find yourself in almost, and except brushing your teeth or something, I guess. But like I've tried to identify peeragogical patterns and enhance them, the ones that work, productively, in many situations. My publishing organization, my team of contractors that I work with in publishing, and my own books, and in nonprofit groups. So I see it as it's kind of like a way of. It's a language of, or a way of getting the most out of people, including yourself. You're producing something or learning something.
I think that sounds good. It's maybe general, but it is general, and like it's okay to have parts of this thing that are more general and parts that are more specific. So this pattern, as you're saying, is just kind of trying to introduce the idea of peeragogy. if people read that and they get bored, they won't see the next one. But if they're or they may skip ahead and read the next one. I don't know, but it starts to get more specific in the paper, like the roadmap. So the plan, as I said again, I had some doubts about this too. We intend to revise and extend the patterns and methods of pedagogy to make it a workable model for education. Last week was a little different version. I think this is better because it's not saying we're limiting ourselves to that, and we're not saying what kind of education either. It could be self-education, it could be elementary education, and it could be peer-to-peer learning. I don't know. So workable, we leave ourselves some slack. But then in this roadmap bit, this is why one of the reasons the patterns are so important. If we sense something that needs to change about the project, that's a clue we might need to record a new pattern. So we're using these patterns, which are expository, and it's easier to read them, I think, than to read them out loud because there's a lot of text there. But we're using them to record what we're really doing in the project, and I think that's important. Like I said about the open is good, but the reflection is also good. Like what works and what doesn't work, and we're so in terms of what you're saying, people are holding back about, how involved should I be? Well, if it's not working, then you might want to speak up, and that would be fine. I mean, literally, like that. There's one of the motivations in this project is to create an opportunity for people to.
Yeah, and these hangouts are one way. You can just join. It doesn't have to. You don't have to be, logged on or registered or whatever. You just follow the link and let us know you want to come on live or just make comments, and it's very, very, very accessible in that way.
Yeah, I really like the Hangouts because I'm a little overwhelmed with things that I'm reading right now. So, for example, I've read the the text that's up on the screen, but concentrating has been really quite difficult. And so the video conference really helps me to get a better idea because I spend so much time reading, not only on the screen but in books. And so it's kind of a nice break from that. I learn a lot. It's my way of learning is by talking with people is much more than reading. So video conferences are great for me to just listen.
I think it's interesting because there's different people who have different modalities, and that's one of the reasons I remain curious about the status of this print book. I suppose we should ask you guys an update from the world of almost ready to press print on that book. Because some people like to read on the beach, where books may be better or worse than a Kindle. I don't know. It depends on what kind of beach it is.
I like the print book. I'm reading it now, and I really like it because I can just, it's small, portable. I can carry it around. I can read it, in the park. I can read it in the car while I'm waiting to pick someone up. It's really handy.
And one thing that just occurred to me is that we could put, Fabrizio had a QR code on the cover a long time ago, and we ended up not going with it for the print book, but I could see QR codes within the book that would take you to that web.
Oh, great idea.
Web, to different different sites within it, depending on their relevant location. But I've Charlie, I've reached out to Amanda to set up a date to do the cover, and then we should be ready.
Cool. Yeah. I think that's the other aspect of this book this project is that there is a kind of collaborative aspect to it. I don't was anyone besides me and Doug joined this thing with these students who put together a book in like a week or 2 weeks. They were so fast. Like they wrote their student papers and they just put them into a book and they published it on this LeanPub platform. I was really impressed. I looked at some of the articles after, and some looked very smart, and the conversations that we had was way better than a TED Talk actually going to this class, because everyone was like presenting their ideas quickly and they weren't all polished. They were like more like you could engage with it by saying, oh no, that's not quite how I would do it, which I thought was interesting. And then people were arguing back and forth. I thought that was amazingly interesting way to present information. It was just like hopping into a college class for an hour. Excited people doing something a lot like what we do with these Hangouts, but it was like rapid fire because they had to get it all done right then. But that reminds me, I was going to hop in. So one more thing, don't make what you can simply use, and don't sell what you can afford to give away. I feel like that's a really long name for a pattern. We might have to change it. But it used to be called use or make, and no one knew what that meant. So this spells it out.
Is there a way to put that in a positive context?
Don't or yes. Well, yes, I think.
Or is that important? Is that not important?
I don't know. We could wordsmith it until till it becomes positive. That sounds good. I'm not in the most positive frame of mind, so we might need someone else to jump in and
how about just saying like reduce, reuse, recycle or something?
Oh, that's hilarious. Yeah. Yeah, that might do it. That would work well. Absolutely. And there's this. Where'd the picture go? The picture's worth 1,000 words. Here's a urinal signed R. Mutt from Charlie. So hopefully that's going in this time, because it's actually really smart and fantastic, because we can reuse this reused art again.
Oh yes.
So it's incredibly clever, I think, to
just
reuse.
By sitting there, it's demonstrating our pattern.
Yeah, exactly. So let's look in the little fortune cookie. This is here.
I think a video of it would be even better.
Oh my God! Yeah, we might get censored. The paper refused by the conference. The exhibition refused by the independents. The pattern refused by the pattern catalog. So yeah, we spun off the pattern catalog from the Peeragogy handbook into this paper, sharing it with a new community and gaining new perspectives, which we really will. I mean, we're not really the ones to invent Peeragogy. These people at the pattern catalog have been doing it. At the pattern conference have been doing it a lot longer than us, and people have been doing it for thousands of years before them. So I don't think we need to feel bad that we were second. We're not second. So by the same token, I think that's maybe why we have something to contribute, is because it's not that new, but we might be able to look at it in a new way.
So more needs to be done on this, or what would you like people to do?
I think so. These ones are green. The green means I've had my first edit.
Okay.
But Lisa's been sending some nice feedback. We could bring up her email. She's there, but maybe she's watching The Amazing Race out the window. I don't know.
I'm back at home.
Oh, back home. Did it happen?
They started. They launched it. They're probably at LAX or on their way to Rio right now.
Wow. On the way to Rio. That's fast. But okay, so I'm going to jump in just to demo, and we're going to go through infinite internets to get there again. Start it, because I don't have time to mess around with non-infinite internet. So here's the thing we were just looking at on the web. Now we're looking at on the email, my email. Don't make what you can simply use, and don't sell what you can afford to give away. Otherwise known as reduce, reuse, recycle. I like it, Charlotte. In fact, that's also really good, because we're reducing, reusing, and recycling that title right then and there.
Yeah, God, it is the infinite fading or increasing.
Yeah, but so here, this purple stuff was the original thing, and Lisa's saying, hey, wait, I'm wondering. This was getting at me earlier. She said, are we focusing on peer production or the concept of the interactions to produce something? In the case of education, for example, the challenge is working together to learn or teach, or do both, while in business it may be to complete a project successfully, which will eventually help the bottom line. But the common fact is the idea of interaction, and how these interactions, challenges, and dynamics can be amazingly similar, whether you're dealing with volunteers, learners, or paid staff. And it can all change slightly. So Lisa, I completely agree. And this is what's giving, at the same time, this is what's giving me a headache about the paper, because how do we get at something that's so general and very applicable? And
because
I feel like
I know you remember in the book we had these use cases.
Yeah.
What about use cases? I mean, I love that. That's what I'm trying to say, is that we either just sit around talking about peeragogy, or we put it to use in some practical situation. I mean, it's useful to improve peeragogy by talking about it, but we need to be able to take it out and apply it somewhere.
Yeah, I agree with you completely. And it's actually, it's meant to be practical. It's not meant really to be that theoretical, except to say, some really basic common sense things that aren't gonna, hurt anyone's head. Whereas stuff like this is already really hurting my head. Like, is it open or not open? I don't know. I get so confused. But yeah, if we had a case study, we would just say, well, do they call themselves open? Okay, they call themselves open. We'll go with open in this case. Do they call themselves free? Okay, we go with free in this case. Yeah, I've been thinking about something similar for work. It's like we want to.
I could write up one for IPNI because we're actually making some progress, and it's kind of a mishmash. It's not exclusively open. It's not exclusively closed.
Yeah.
The project, our project. I mean, I'm trying to push transparency and inclusiveness wherever I can, because that is now starting to pay off. I mean, people's instincts were to just hunker down over their little turf and protect it, and not it just ossified there. But they're resisting the opening.
Yeah.
But it's paying off.
Yeah. Well, it's really interesting. There are so many different applicable contexts. In the case of a community, for example, I mean, how much do people really get together? What do they share? What do they keep to themselves? And there's always give and take like that. So I don't think we can just say it's open. Maybe it's the push and pull between open and closed that's more interesting.
Well, I kind of think it tips toward the open.
It does tend to.
That's the preferable state, I guess, or something.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, so it's dilemmas and wording questions like that, where like getting into this paper with a red pen or a pencil or a collection of post-it notes, as Kara may have fluttering around, might be really useful, because our first attempt we weren't really playing by the rules. We weren't coloring inside the boxes. We were coloring all over. So now we kind of moved the colors into the right boxes, but I think that's not quite enough to really do it, although it's getting better. So, yeah.
I just love Fabrizio's thing. That kind of stuff really gives me a picture of what's going on. Like I've been using Asana, this project management for IPNI, and for me, it puts everything out on a tray where you can see it and access it if you need parts of it if you need to. So.
Cool. Yeah, it'll be nice as well when we stick a little screenshot of the book there, and people can go click on that and buy it.
Wow, this is so great. I love it.
I do like the reduce, reuse, recycle title. That is so good. I'm going to go change it right now, Charlotte. Instant satisfaction.
Well, Karen is one of the recycling committee people in my town, so I think she gave a little smile at that too.
Yeah, and it's funny because the way we learn, well, the woman who's organizing it is just a really very good organizer, and we really learn a lot from each other, and I've learned so much from Caitlin just by working with these people who are just very low-key. They're not technically teachers, but it's just a matter of learning by being there and by sorting the styrofoam out into different colors and sizes. It's amazing how much you learn by doing that.
That's funny.
Yeah. What do they use styrofoam for anyway? Roads or something?
You mean after after we collect it and then it gets recycled, or before? After? I don't really know. I've got to look into that. It's not good stuff. It's
no, I know. It seems like they could put it on a road to make it spongy or something.
So you don't use shock absorbers in cars anymore.
Right.
Optimistic, maybe. It's possible. So I wanted to say about this particular thing, the new reduce reuse pattern, which has now got a recycled title as well. Here you can see it. There it is. Hive editing almost happening live. And we quoted Willow Brew. Remember her from our one hangout with her, the girl from Geeks Without Bounds and the MIT Media. She would be cool to talk with. I don't know. I'm not sure that my cousin, she doesn't sort of saying, oh, let's get together and join for coffee right now, but maybe there's some people there who would want to hang out with those Boston area people. I know that one, the woman whose profile you read, the Canadian homeless Harvard Kickstarter woman. Do you remember her? I don't know. Maybe she's watching right now, so I don't want to like malign her by trying to describe who she was. Just so you remember, she sounded really interesting. And I bet if you guys could organize a meetup, maybe you could recruit her to come along, even if it's just the three of you. But.
Yeah, I mean, one project I'd like to put on the agenda, maybe put a document up somewhere about it, is to propose a presentation at the Berkman Center, where Willow Brew actually gave a presentation not long ago. But I think we're a perfect candidate, you know.
Yeah. So that reminds me of the point I was going to just make about this paper. It says here on this reduce, reuse, recycle pattern, we've spun off the pattern catalog from the handbook into the paper. So it's like the paper is part of the book, and vice versa. Sharing it with a new community and gaining new perspectives. So we'll get the programming language people's perspective, even if they ultimately reject it from the conference, that we'll get the perspective of this shepherd, David, who's been pretty helpful already, and I don't think they'll reject it. Hope not. But the thought was we could look for other parts, like all of the other major parts of the handbook we could turn into other papers or other talks, so we don't have to just sort of push things into the handbook. It's actually really good exercise to like find the things in the handbook and try to polish them up and make them useful for someone else. So maybe it's a matter of a talk, maybe it's a matter of another, some other use. But so I was just trying to remind myself what the main sections were: convening, organizing, cooperation, and assessment. So there's no reason we couldn't take any one of those and spin it off into another paper for another group.
Well, I'll put up a document. Maybe we can. Where should I put it? On Google Drive or on GitHub or what?
Well, what is it going to be? Maybe that depends.
On the Berkman Center proposal.
Oh yeah, Berkman Center proposal. I would say GitHub seems good for now. Yeah.
Okay, I guess I know how to do that.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I mean, I think GitHub is great for kind of polishing stuff, and Google is better for starting stuff. So.
Okay, well, I'll see if I can. If not, I'll put it on Drive.
No, don't. No, I'm telling you, I think you're doing the right thing. I think put it on Drive because I'm saying we can polish it later. We can create it. Let's create it now, and we'll polish it next month when it's ready for polishing.
Great.
Yeah. So, Karen, what's up? You've been reading lots of stuff?
Yeah, in lots of different fields, in government policy associated with recycling, and just lots of things that are not all entirely related to the Peeragogy project.
I can imagine. That's good. It's nice to have a perspective where everything's not related to not everything.
Well, I suppose, I mean, the funny thing is, I suppose it is related to it. And one of the projects that we've got going on in town right now is that, are you familiar with Boston, the area? Okay, well, there's a main road that goes all the way across Massachusetts, and it's called Route 2, and it ends in Cambridge at Fresh Pond Parkway. And it's kind of the main artery, one of the two main arteries that goes into the city. And at the end of that road, there's a wetland, and the wetland is being considered right now there's a proposed housing development on the wetland. It's a very, very controversial issue. And the people who are supporting the town in this issue are fantastic at, I don't know, Charlotte, would you consider what they're doing kind of pedagogy? They're excellent at organizing people and helping one another to figure out, looking for environmental managers and looking for policy analysts and looking for financial engineers, and everybody's in the town is really coming together.
Yeah, I was blown away by the people who spoke. Yeah.
Sorry?
I was blown away by the people who spoke at that hearing.
Yeah. And their Facebook page and their Gmail posts are also just really incredible in terms of getting people to work together to try and save this wetland. So I don't know, would that be an example of pedagogy?
It would be interesting to find out if it is. I think it could be if people are, I think the criterion I would apply is like, are people learning anything?
I would say definitely, and it's funny because in this sense I got into a bit of a discussion with my stepfather because he was saying very much, well, he's in his 90s now, and he knows a lot of things, and I'm young, and I'm learning to him. And he was saying, yeah, but who makes the final decision? Who makes the final decision? Because I'm doing a lot of the ecological environmental outreach work, so telling people why the wetlands is important. And his argument was, yeah, but that's pointless informing people as to why the wetlands is important if it doesn't directly influence the person who makes the final decision as to whether or not this development will be built. And my argument was, no, it's not pointless. You actually do need people who understand the environment in order to spread the word about the fact that wetlands, as a general rule, and this wetland in particular, are really important because this is a democracy. And
I learned a lot just from going to that hearing. And, there were all sorts of, one of the products that could be, a group of people who agree on a common goal is to stop the development and preserve the wetland.
Yeah. Yeah, but I think this senior figure has a good point as well. You have to learn who does make part of learning. Part of that is not just to sort of say, oh, philosophically wetlands are a good idea, and in principle it'd be nice if this one was safe. But yeah, who does make the decision, and what would ultimately change that? That's one of the things that those people also have to learn, is how to work with the system. So it's not just wetland biology, it's also the local.
No, I guess the way that I see the value of informing people about the value of the wetland itself is that it's a tangible hook that people can understand. If you say these are invasive species, or these are species that are native to the area but they're being pushed out, you go for a walk and you say, look at that bird, there are almost none of those birds left because we've got these invasive species, and this is the only place where these birds exist in the greater Boston area, then people get interested, and once it's like a perfect hook, and once people are interested in that, then they take a greater interest in preserving this particular wetland or any wetland. I think people become more interested, and personally I think that like the environment, because it's so tangible, is a really good way of getting people involved in larger policy issues, because policy issues can be so abstract. And so, even myself, I'm reading a lot about policy right now, and I sat down with a paper today and I was like, oh my God, I'm going to read these 5 articles, because I need to learn how this works. But I know one of my jobs right now, because I'm on sabbatical, is I walk dogs, so I spend a lot of time in the woods. And I know a lot of people who walk dogs who have, they use conservation land. They love it, but they're not at all involved in taking care of it, and they don't want any, they hate the government, which is ironic because they love public land. And using the environment as a tool, as a means to get people more involved in taking more responsibility for being citizens, basically. And taking a greater interest in, okay, well, how does this, who is responsible for maintaining this piece of conservation land, and what can I do to help maintain it, to, I don't know, remove invasive species or count the native species. There are a million things that need to be done.
That's very interesting, and I think that there's some subtlety there. It's not a matter of one or the other, or either environment or policy, but it's also true that, not everyone involved who needs to know who the final decision maker is. Maybe 5 people who are involved need to know the final decision maker and can really schmooze with him or her and get them to come around and say, look, actually we're only 5 people, but there's 2,000 or 20,000 people right around the corner who are really into the environment and who really like this stuff, and they're all voters or whatever matters in this case.
Exactly.
and we know them really well. And then after that schmooze fest, the decision maker, may say, well, look, I love wetlands too, like no question about it, So,
yeah, or I mean, it is a democracy, and technically, it will only work if people make it work, and so I think really the more people who are, and I see this in my experience because I work in 3 different environmental areas here, 3 different conservation areas, doing various things. And I do see when people join the groups doing whatever we're doing, like removing invasive species is the #1 thing I'm doing right now, they do become more interested in policy. We had, I worked at Fresh Pond, a pond in Cambridge, and one of the things, brilliant coordinator there, she just left, and it's really a pity, but one of the things that she did was as a way of getting, how businesses do these, get everybody activities so that people get to know each other better, and you break down all those work barriers. I can't remember what they're called.
Like a retreat?
A retreat, yeah. So her idea was get businesses and schools, etc., to come to Fresh Pond and tear out invasive species. It was great. And everyone who came on those retreats, they'd come for 2 or 3 hours, and they'd just learn about, what invasive species are. And tearing those things out is fun, actually, because you get all of your frustration out, and it's really easy. And inevitably, every group that came ended up saying that was the best kind of use of business time that we have done in a long time. It broke down we got a lot of thank you notes from these businesses saying, wow, people really bonded, and people from different departments got together, and they all really enjoyed that, and we want to do that again.
Mm-hmm. That's really interesting.
Yeah, so I wonder, because I have my Peeragogy book on the table. I've read maybe a third of it now, and as I said, I really like it. I'm just trying to absorb a lot of it, and so one of the things that I found a bit confusing in the first real section, where it's a summary of the chapters, was that it doesn't include all of the chapters, and then there was no kind of font difference between the section headings and the chapter headings, and it just took me a minute. It's just this technical thing about format that I noticed. But
yeah, well, we should fix it. I'm the one responsible for the formatting, not necessarily the words on the page, but if the formatting's screwed up, then that's my fault.
It's not screwed up. It's not screwed up. It's just it took me a while to get my head around it. But again, I'm reading lots of different types of writing right now, and so it's just. And I had the flu when I was doing it, so that might have been. Dear. But I just thought, it might make it a little easier.
Yeah, no, it looks okay here. So maybe we've fixed it since then. You have to keep in mind, if you're reading a paper version, the paper version is quite out of date.
Are you sure all the chapters are not in that summaries?
Worth checking. Here's a link. Here's a link.
I think I have version 2. Is there another one out that you guys are watching?
We're on the verge.
By a thread is almost version 3. That's what's on the website.
And is that what you posted there, or Joe? Is that the latest?
That's a link to the chapter Karen was just describing on the website. It's looking like the formatting on the website. I'll have to check if this carries over to print properly. It does distinguish, but you may well be correct that not all the chapters are in there. That's quite possible. I don't know that anyone has really ever checked that against the outline to make sure they're all there.
I'm looking now on a different thing. I'm looking at the chat with the pattern languages and pattern conferences, and I went off on a tangent trying to understand those, and that is way out of my field. I got really confused in trying to sort that out and trying to get my head around it and understand it. So I think maybe sometimes when I'm in these chats, I feel like you guys are swimming and doing backstrokes and flips, and I'm sitting here with a dog paddle saying, "Wow, look at them do backflips and flips." Can't even pronounce them. So
at least you're not on the shore wondering if you could brave to dip your toe in.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, thank you. But that pattern language things, because I was looking at the conference and some of the papers, and I was like, "Whoa, I recognize the words. That's a start, and that is a sentence, and that's good. And I have no idea what it means."
Yeah. Well, let's hope we're not using them completely wrong. Here's a nice one that's kind of, sorry, can you see it? Writer's Workshop and the Work of Making Things. So this book is.
What is that?
I'm advertising it partly because the whole book is available for free online as a PDF, so you don't have to feel like you have to buy the awesome print book
Writer's
that I have.
Workshop and
The work of making things.
Okay, I've got it.
Oh, cool.
But it talks about patterns and poetry. So.
Oh, wow, cool.
We were just talking about poetry.
Hmm?
We were talking about poetry.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were just talking about poetry. That's great. That is really interesting.
Yeah,
so Writer's Workshop and the Work of Makers, is it?
Making things.
I put it in the chat.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Oh, you did. You type faster than I do.
Yeah.
So anyway, speaking of being about a third done, I'm about a third done with that. I think I'll read this on my long flight coming up. But, you know, they've been talking about these writers' workshops. Writers' workshops have existed for a really long time. It's like you go and present some work in progress, and you get some feedback on it. And I think we've been doing that all the time. So, you know, if you tell me, oh, this thing doesn't quite work for me, that's wonderful, and we can fix it. And the next time you encounter it, or the next time someone else encounters it, it will be that much better. So we can kind of have this ongoing.
And Karen, we can do, kind of a focused sort of going through the manuscript, and maybe you can help highlight some of the things that are not clear. Right? Yeah.
It is true, because as this version 3 is hanging by a thread, like I always keep saying, like at the same time, we even when the cover is ready, we might decide to hold off if it looks like we can change some content and like improve it a little bit. Especially if you're just reading the intro chapters and you say these intro chapters are not quite doing it for me. That would be a good thing to change. I was thinking writing the whole introduction, following some stuff that Paula brought up a while ago.
Now, is this pattern language paper, is that already embedded in the manuscript, or do we need to?
It's in the website version, and I haven't done the porting of the website version into tech, just because I figure that's not going to take me too long. So what's on the website is slightly in advance of what's on the 3B2 PDF.
Do we at some point fork the print manuscript off from the web?
I hope not too much, in the sense that I hope that the print and the web one will. I think people should just edit the stuff on GitHub like for content, and that the only things to do is to change the formatting to make it look nice. But I can do most of that in like an hour, so I don't think it's a matter of. I don't think it's
I was wanting to request that we change the small caps format, for links.
In the book.
Yeah, in the print.
I think that's gone completely, actually.
Okay. Italics is better, or just eliminate it whenever we can and refer to the web one.
Yeah. So let me just check what I'm telling you here and just see what I'm saying. But yeah,
we have about 5 minutes to go.
Okay, so this is good then here. So the latest absolutely PDF that, like, if I was run over by a bus and you guys couldn't figure out how to run LaTeX, you could go ahead with this one here that I just put in the chat.
No, you don't want to be saying stuff like that.
Well, I think you guys could learn how to use LaTeX, but you might not choose to do it.
I'm just learning to dog paddle now. I just want to remind you, okay? I'm at the dog paddle stage.
Yeah.
I have opened LaTeX and actually done some stuff in it, not necessarily effectively, but I'm into it. I'm glad to, because when I travel and if I take my Chromebook, I don't have my InDesign Adobe software with me, and it's just a pain in the patookie to put it up to work on anything that I have in development. So this is good,
Yeah. So there's certainly work that could be done, lots of work that could be done on this. It's all the things that I've been saying, we should do that for version 4. Some of it we could do now, but I haven't been too worried about it because I think it's looking pretty good. So. But I am now worried that maybe we don't have all the chapters. So could someone check that we have all the chapters in the chapter summary?
Okay, pick me.
Okay, sure.
I will do that.
Like a donkey.
Yes, this new version has this great workbook there.
I love these drawings so much.
Yeah.
What is this? PLDPL.
Oh, those are initials. If you go back one page, you'll see it starts Paola, Dorothea, and Lisa.
Oh, okay. Oh. Okay, good.
Yeah.
Okay. I love having Amanda's artwork in there.
Yeah, a friend of mine recommended me this book, which I haven't looked at that closely. I just looked at the Amazon page. I think it's called "Book Yourself Solid: The Illustrated Guide," and like every page has got a picture on it.
Yeah, I'm doing a graphic novel of Gandhi's early life, and I'm actually got a book on how to make a graphic novel. It's like there's so many interesting devices that you use, from the speech bubbles to the setting the scene and the establishing scenes.
Yeah, it's really cool.
I just looked over the new, the one that you just published online. It looks brilliant, the Peeragogy Handbook.
Cool. Well, you download that. I mean, I can't compete with paper, but the content is, like I said, some of it's a bit different. And what can I say else about that? Well, yeah, you can decide which one you want to read, I guess.
Yeah.
Not all of it's changed, but we've hacked away quite a bit of stuff. I think a lot more has to go too. For the next
it's just, I agree with Charlotte. Like the visuals are really nice, and the formatting is beautiful. I mean, it's fun.
Yeah, it's so much better. Yeah. I think this email address is gmail.com.
Probably true. But that one would work. But.
Yeah, some of these URLs aren't too bad to have.
Yeah, but I think even maintaining this workbook content and making sure it's up to date, I don't know that we have a workflow around that, or what.
Yeah, that's something I sort of volunteered to get started on, which I need to. Lisa, are you?
Your puppy dog.
Hello, Zoe.
Oh. Lisa, are you squeaking? Did you need to say something, or?
No, I'm good. I should be on mute. So if
okay. We should probably wrap it up. Joe, do you want to get some action items here?
Well, I think you've said some things about the book, so I would just say you guys there in Boston can keep after the book. And absolutely, yeah, Lisa, you've been sending great feedback about the paper, so keep that up. I think it's perfect. It is making me think, and so this is a good chance to kind of summarize some of those thoughts, but I think we'll want to continue by email because I think that.
And I see that the book, the workbook section does have some pretty good use cases and sort of anecdotes and things.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah. So we don't really have a lot of workflow production values. One of the things I was going to say to Karen about ecology is or the ecosystems is that there's a kind of a human ecology of learning, and I wonder if that's kind of another way to think about what we're doing here. So
how do you see that? That's an interesting. It rings a bell. Human ecology of learning. That concept rings a bell, but right now it's really foggy. How do you envision that? What do you
Well, I was just thinking about when you're talking about the wetland, I'm thinking about kind of a drainage system. That how does it happen that one person discovers an idea, hands it over to someone else, they turn it into something else, it ends up being part of a hangout, it ends up a couple weeks later being part of the handbook, and then someone else reads that, another year later down the line, and they get inspired and they do something else, and then how do those flows of information and whatever ideas and knowledge, how do those
Yeah, and it looks like as we wind down here, it looks like on the event page there are a number of people who have watched or are watching. Alex Gagnon and Arthur Oglesby and Peter Feltham and Annabelle Howard.
Wow.
And so if you guys are watching and not able to participate today, I hope you will someday soon, and we will post the chat, which I've collected right now and copied, and on the event page. So all the links that we talked about are there, and all the like the new interweb thing that Fabrizio had developed, and the GitHub version of the book. So
yeah,
have at it.
Yeah, I've copied. Did you want me to? I'll copy the chat as well.
I just did. I just did, and I put it on the event page. If you want to put it on the pirate pad or whatever, hack pad. Or...
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, the other thing I was going to say is that if bandwidth is an issue, one thing we could try to do is, if Skype is any better than Hangouts, I'm not sure it is, but we could probably run a switch over to Skype sometimes too, just to give a slightly lower bandwidth.
Is it lower bandwidthness?
It seems to work. Like when Charlie and, at least I'm not sure about that, but when Charlie and I were doing that one group with people in Africa, like Skype was really okay and Hangouts was not. So I don't know. I wouldn't just do it on a whim, but I think if people are saying yes, it's easier or better, like just let us know. I mean.
Yeah, I have the business version of that. If we need extra capabilities, I can apply that.
Cool. All right. Well, shall we leave it at that for now? Seems pretty good.
Yeah, we'll sign off. Join us again on Mondays at 1 for the regularly scheduled Peeragogy in action. Not in action, but in action.
Nice.
And hopefully. And start your own, start it up out there and let us know what you're doing. So talk to you soon. Bye.
Bye.